of Immersion. Today we're going to be giving our full in-depth review of Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood. Now recently this land just opened a few weeks ago and we had the chance of visiting, and it is such an incredible land. Let me just start off by saying that. But before we start today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to check out all of our brand new merch we have on the channel. The link is in the description below. They're all super cool. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. Alright, so starting off, like I said, this land is incredible. In my opinion, it is the best land at all of Universal Studios Hollywood. Even better than the Wizarding World, in my opinion. But let's start off from the beginning of your experience with Super Nintendo World. You're going to have to book a virtual line reservation in order to get into the land itself. Now, generally, these are not that hard to get. As soon as you get into the park, just be sure to open the app, click Virtual Line Queue, and join the queue for Super Nintendo World. It'll allow you to select your own time window. It's not going to assign you a time. You just can do whatever time windows are available at that time. But my suggestion would be to go as early in the morning as possible because it will be less crowded then. But as soon as it is your time to use the virtual queue, head over to the land itself and you're going to enter through the warp pipe, and as soon as you walk into this land, it is just incredible. There's so much moving around you and it's just so stimulating. It is crazy. The land itself feels so much bigger and cooler in person. Videos do not do it justice. There's just so much around you. There are so many animatronics, and let me tell you, these animatronics are huge. The piranha plants are massive. They are really, really cool. And there are just animatronics all over the mountains, and it is so, so cool. Additionally, the ride Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge is incredible in my opinion. There are so many positives to this ride, but let me start off by talking about how amazing this queue is. The queue is so immersive. It is a really long queue, but it moves really fast. But yeah, it is just crazy immersive. It goes through so many different scenes. It goes outside, it goes inside. It's got 2 mini pre-shows that are both really fun. And just overall, it is a ton of fun. It is definitely one of my favorite attractions in the entire park.
Now, like every ride, it has its flaws, but it actually has very little. The one thing that we seem to have a slight issue with was the augmented reality. Now, we acknowledge that this is revolutionary for dark rides. It is the first ever dark ride to feature augmented reality as a feature on the ride. And of course we recognize that it's not going to be perfect the first time. But I will say that when we rode it, the augmented reality, it was a little bit shaky, and it was pretty easy to tell the difference between what was AR and what was real. We had heard previously that it became really difficult to tell once you're actually on the ride, and it looked really different from the POVs you see online. If we're going to be completely honest, it looks pretty similar to the POVs. It's kind of shaky like that. Another issue is the glasses don't cover your full eyes, so the images sort of cut off on the edges. But like I said, it still looks really good, and the practical sets are incredible. The screens too look great. The ending scene, the Rainbow Road scene, that is where the augmented reality does really well. It's very hard to tell what's real and what's not, and that's a very, very cool scene. We will say that. Now, one thing we want to add is we've been seeing a lot of criticism of the ride saying that it's not intense or it's not thrilling enough. And to be honest, I went into the ride with that mindset too. But I think we have to remember that this is not necessarily supposed to be a thrill ride. It's supposed to be a family or a kid ride. It's not supposed to be going, 15, 20 miles an hour. This is supposed to be a slow-moving, fun dark ride. And I think if you appreciate it for what it is, you see how incredible of a ride and how technologically advanced and how detailed it is. Now, in terms of the land, there weren't that many issues that we had. However, the one big issue that we did have was space. The land is very, very small, and it's very, very condensed. The land is essentially one big circle. And of course, it just opened, so it's going to be packed. But if we're going to be completely honest, it might still be the same amount of packed in a month or two. The other issue with this is that there's basically nowhere to relax or sit down in the land, which means you can't go there and just hang out. You go to the land, you ride the rides. If you get the wristband, you can do all the fun activities with that. But other than that, there's not much to do besides eating at the restaurant. So for us, we went into the land, we saw it. Wow, this is incredible. We rode the ride and we got off and we're like, oh, we'll explore for a bit. But it's like shoulder to shoulder people. There's a couple benches, but they're of course all taken. So there's not really much to do if you're not doing the activities and if you're not riding the rides. You can't really just sit down and relax like you can in some other lands. But of course, it's a brand new land, so it's going to be really crowded. And it's still an incredibly detailed and very, very, very visually impressive land too.
Now, the next thing I do want to mention is the power-up bands. Now, the power-up bands are $40 each, and me and Mur decided to not get the power-up bands when we went because we felt like we wouldn't be spending that much time in the land in general, so it wasn't going to be worth it for us. However, I do want to say, if you purchase it, it really does add to your experience. There are so many more activities and other things that you can do in the land if you have the power-up band that you can't do without it. Which in my opinion is one of the cons of the land, and that is that you really do need the power-up band in order to fully enjoy it. Which does kind of suck. You have to spend $40 in order to enhance your experience in the land. But like I said, it is still an incredible land and it's just so visually appealing to look at. The vibrant colors are crazy, they're trippy, it is so cool. But overall, it's just such a fun land. Now, we did not get the chance to eat at Toadstool Cafe, however, I've heard great things about that, so I definitely suggest checking it out if you have time when you're there.
Now, something about this land that is great is it's really showing how much Universal is stepping into the right direction. This land has been received very, very well with the general public, and us too, we really, really love this land. Universal Hollywood always has been lacking a bit with things to do. I mean, they only have 11, now 12 rides at the park, and in general, it's a small park and hard to do multiple days at. But Universal has really just been stepping up their game recently. I mean, with Epic Universe coming, and we have Super Nintendo World, and we have all these new updates that are coming to Universal in the future, it is really exciting to see what happens with this park. Another fun thing we should mention about Super Nintendo World, at least right now, is that all of the other rides are practically walk-ons. The majority of the park is focused on getting into Super Nintendo World, or is in Super Nintendo World. So when we were there, we waited practically nothing for almost all the rides we did. For example, we did Walk On for the Mummy, Walk On for Jurassic World, and Walk On for the Studio Tour. So definitely, if you want to get some other rides in, it's a smart idea to go to Universal right now.
But yeah, wrapping up, I think that Super Nintendo World is one of the best theme park lands I have ever been in. It is so immersive. The music, the animatronics, and just the overall visual appearance of the land is incredible. Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge is such a fun ride, and it's a great addition to Universal Studios. And it is so fantastic that they have yet another themed land in the park. But that is going to do it for our video today. Be sure to comment down below if you've been to Super Nintendo World and what you think of the land. If you agree with some of the things we said, be sure to comment that down below as well. But thank you so much for watching World of Immersion today, and we'll catch you in the next video.